Hello, my dear friends. How are you doing today? Welcome to the channel. Today, we are going to dive into an inspiring story full of faith and precious lessons. Have you ever wondered how God can take an ordinary life and turn it into something extraordinary? Well, today, we'll talk about David, the shepherd boy chosen by God to become a king. Get ready for a reflection that will touch your heart and show you how the Creator chooses His people to accomplish great things. Picture a simple young man living in obscurity, almost invisible to society. He spent his days tending sheep in quiet, remote fields, far from the crowds and major decisions of public life. He had no prominent position, nor was he someone people considered important. To the world, he was just another boy among many. But there was something special about him that human eyes could not see. This young man was David, and God, who searches the depths of the heart, had already chosen him for an extraordinary mission. Now, imagine this. While men admired strong, tall, and impressive warriors, God was looking at a humble shepherd, someone no one expected to achieve great things. Did you know that God even rejected David's older brothers, who were more experienced and imposing? When the prophet Samuel was sent to Jesse's house to anoint Israel's next king, everyone thought the chosen one would be one of the older sons, men of striking appearance and commanding presence. But God made it clear, "Do not consider his appearance or his height, for I have rejected him." The Lord does not look at the things people look at. People look at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. 1 Samuel 16:7. David, the youngest and smallest in his family, wasn't even present when Samuel arrived. He was out in the fields, faithfully tending the sheep. And this is where the story gets fascinating. While everyone overlooked David, God was already shaping his character, teaching him to be both a leader and a servant. Every day spent in the pasture, defending the flock from lions and bears, was preparation for something much greater. But perhaps the most incredible moment in David's journey is when he steps onto the battlefield not as a trained warrior, but as a young man who completely trusted God. Goliath, the giant Philistine, was terrifying the army of Israel, taunting the soldiers with words of intimidation. No one dared to face him. Then David, driven by unshakable faith, asked a question that changed everything. Who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he should defy the armies of the living God? 1 Samuel 17:26. David didn't have shining armor or a powerful sword. All he had was a sling, a few stones, and absolute confidence that God was with him. While Goliath laughed and mocked him, David boldly declared, "You come against me with sword and spear and javelin, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied." 1 Samuel 17:45. Take a moment to think. What made David a hero? It wasn't his strength or social status, but the heart he had before God, a heart full of faith, courage, and a willingness to obey. Curious to understand how God can transform someone so ordinary into a key player in His plan? Stay with me, because this story will show you that what matters to God is not what others see, but what is hidden deep within your soul. God doesn't seek extraordinary abilities or appearances. He seeks hearts ready to trust Him completely. So, what does God see in you today? When God sent the prophet Samuel to Jesse's house to anoint Israel's next king, He revealed something profound and transformative. Unlike men who judge by external appearances, God looks deeper. He examines the heart. His instruction was clear. "Do not consider his appearance or his height, for I have rejected him." The Lord does not look at the things people look at. People look at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. 1 Samuel 16:7. Picture the scene. Jesse's older sons, tall and strong, stood before Samuel. Each one seemed perfect to human eyes to sit on the throne, but God rejected them all. Finally, Samuel asked, "Are these all the sons you have?" Jesse replied almost dismissively, "There is still the youngest, but he is tending the sheep." 1 Samuel 16:11. What a response, filled with disregard. Yet it was precisely that young shepherd whom God had chosen. David was called in, a modest young man, simple in appearance, but with a heart entirely devoted to God. Right there, in the presence of his brothers, Samuel anointed David with oil, proclaiming him the future king of Israel. Can you imagine how David must have felt? Chosen by God for such a great calling, yet still young and unknown. What's even more amazing is what he did next. He went back to the fields to tend the sheep. Can you picture that? Knowing you've been called to be king but continuing to work humbly without seeking recognition? David's actions teach us a valuable lesson. God's chosen ones don't exalt themselves. They understand that a divine calling isn't about immediate greatness but about faithfulness and service, even in the small tasks. It was in those fields that God prepared David. There, he learned lessons no palace could teach. He faced real dangers lions and bears to protect the sheep. But his weapon wasn't physical strength. It was his unwavering trust in God. When danger arose, David stepped forward with courage, believing that the same God who protected him daily would also give him victory in greater battles. This hidden preparation was crucial for the moment David faced Goliath. When he arrived on the battlefield and saw the giant mocking Israel, something within him ignited. While experienced and armed soldiers trembled in fear, David saw things differently. He knew Goliath wasn't just challenging men, but defying the living God. With that certainty, he boldly told King Saul, "The Lord who rescued me from the paw of the lion and the paw of the bear will rescue me from the hand of this Philistine." 1 Samuel 17:37. Now picture this unforgettable moment. Goliath, clad in shining armor, sword in hand, laughing in scorn, and David without armor or sword, armed only with a sling and 5 stones. But he wasn't alone. David stepped forward and declared boldly, "You come against me with sword and spear and javelin, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty." 1 Samuel 17:45. With just 1 stone, guided by the hand of God, David defeated the giant of victory that didn't rely on human strength, but on the power of the Almighty. This story reminds us that the strength of the chosen doesn't come from their weapons, skills, or position, but from God's presence with them. And today, this same truth resonates for you and me. God doesn't see as people see. He doesn't look for outward appearances or status. He seeks hearts willing to trust and obey. What might He accomplish through your life if you fully surrender to Him? This story of David teaches us that God specializes in turning what seems ordinary into something extraordinary. David wasn't chosen because he was the strongest or most experienced. He was chosen because he had a heart that sought God above all else. The same God who looked at David's heart is looking at yours today. He sees past what others notice and focuses on the potential He placed within you. Maybe you've been told you're not enough, smart enough, strong enough, or capable enough. Perhaps you faced setbacks that made you doubt your value or purpose. But the beautiful truth is that God doesn't choose the qualified. He qualifies the chosen. He knows your weaknesses and limitations, but He also knows the greatness He can accomplish through you when you trust Him. Think about the giants you may be facing in your life right now. They could be financial struggles, family conflicts, health issues, or even internal battles like fear, doubt, and insecurity. These challenges can feel overwhelming, towering over you like Goliath. But remember what David knew. The battle doesn't belong to you, it belongs to God. He is your strength and shield, the one who goes before you and fights on your behalf. David's confidence didn't come from his own abilities, but from his faith in a God who had proven Himself faithful time and again. The same God who delivered him from lions and bears in the fields gave him the courage to face Goliath. In the same way, God's faithfulness in your past is a promise of His power for your present and future. Whatever battles you're facing, you can declare with confidence, "The Lord who rescued me before will rescue me again." Even if you feel like all you have is a sling and a few small insignificant tools compared to the challenges ahead, God can use what's in your hand to bring victory. It's not about the size of your resources, it's about the greatness of the God who empowers you. With Him, even the smallest acts of faith can lead to miraculous outcomes. So take a step of faith. Confront your giants, not in your own strength, but in the name of the Lord Almighty. Proclaim His power over your situation. Speak His promises over your life, knowing that His word is true and unchanging. Just as David said, all those gathered here will know that it is not by sword or spear that the Lord saves, for the battle is the Lord's, and He will give all of you into our hands. 1 Samuel 17. 47. And remember this, after David defeated Goliath, his life was never the same, but his journey wasn't free from challenges. Even after such a great victory, he continued to face trials, opposition, and moments of waiting. Yet through it all, David remained faithful to God, trusting Him at every step. His story reminds us that the calling God places on our lives often involves seasons of preparation, testing, and perseverance. God may have called you to something great, but perhaps you're still in a season of waiting or preparation, just like David was before he became king. Don't despise the small beginnings. Use this time to grow in faith, character, and trust in the Lord. Be faithful in the little things, because they are shaping you for the bigger things to come. You are chosen by God for a purpose. No matter what lies ahead, you can walk with the assurance that He is with you. As Romans 8:31 declares, if God is for us, who can be against us? Your story is still being written, and with God as the author, the ending will be glorious. So, what's your next step? Will you trust Him with your battles? Will you embrace the calling He's placed on your life? Will you let Him use what's in your hand, even if it seems small, to accomplish great things? Let this story of David inspire you to rise above fear, doubt, and limitations. God is not looking for perfect people. He's looking for willing hearts. Say yes to Him today and watch as He uses your life to defeat giants and bring glory to His name. If this message has touched your heart, I encourage you to share it with someone who might need encouragement today. Let them know that God has a plan for their life too. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more reflections like this. Together, we'll continue to explore how God's Word can transform our lives and empower us to fulfill our divine purpose. Until next time, my friends, may you walk in faith, courage, and the knowledge that you are chosen by the Almighty to make a difference in this world. God bless you.